Hello, what's up?
Hello.
How's it going?
Good. How are you?
Pretty good, pretty good. Um,
How?
yeah, the sun's finally out, so I'm stoked on that.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's been raining a lot where I live, so I've been like kind of in hibernation. So this week, finally, the sun's been coming out, so it's been awesome. Get to
I
clean my
heard
clothes, go to the beach. Yeah,
you're in Costa Rica, I heard.
yep,
Oh, that
yeah,
sounds beautiful.
yeah. How about you? What's going on with you?
Well, I'm in Michigan, so it's like 30 degrees, but I'm
Jesus.
good. I was gonna ask you, too, like, is this like camera quality okay? Because like my phone is probably better. I know this is like, I have a webcam, but it's not working, so I don't know.
Ideally, if you have a camera like a phone, just set that
Mm-hmm.
up to record your face and then send me that
Mm-hmm.
video later.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
It's a good
So
idea.
we have two streams at once. That's what I got right now. I got like my phone set up on a little tripod. Oh man. How long have you had your YouTube channel, by the
Well, I've had my YouTube channel since 2018, but I was kind of making videos before that on different platforms, so I had some
way?
experience.
Were you doing it on like Instagram, social media, or were you doing it like MySpace?
No, I had another YouTube channel I was kind of collaborating with, the Conscious
Uh-huh.
Resistance. They don't exist anymore. They got deleted though.
Huh. So, what made you start the YouTube channel? I guess the one in 2018.
Yeah, well, even though I feel like I'm a very generally like soft-spoken and shy person, I just felt so strongly that I don't know, the message that I was feeling within me. I just felt like I was supposed to share it with the world and like it would help people. And I don't know, I just see so much strife and so much, confusion and pain and division and all these things. So I think it's important to, use your voice, especially if you feel that call.
Mhm. Yeah, makes sense. If you could do something about it, I guess, contribute in whatever way possible, right?
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. Um, so I'm checking out your about page, and it says you're an aura hypnosis healing practitioner, RAAH Reiki healing practitioner, and quantum akashic reader. That's that's a mouthful. What does that mean
Yeah.
exactly?
Well, the aura hypnosis, so let's start with the raw Reiki actually. It has to do with energy healing. So it's not so much about the physical body, although, our energy, our emotional body, our mental body, our spiritual body is connected to the physical body. But it's about seeing beyond that into the deeper layers. Um, as we talked briefly before, it's like tuning into perhaps you could say the unseen energy, but anyone can feel it. Anyone can learn how to tap into it. It's just a matter of like really practicing and developing these tools to be able to see like beyond just the physical body and learn how the energetic body works, which is very real. And with the aura hypnosis, that's similar. That's also part of Reiki that includes like doing this energy work, but it's also woven in with healing hypnosis. So what's beautiful about this healing too, what's most important is that I'm just the vessel. So it's not really even me doing it. It's actually allowing for that person to heal themselves because all real healing is self-healing. So really, especially that's why the hypnosis is so beautiful because they're directly doing it. They're in a higher state and theta brainwaves where they're able to connect with these energies for themselves. And I'm just kind of like a guide to to hold the space to allow them to go within and access these like energetic parts of themselves and have like really, really beautiful experiences, have visions, sometimes whether it's past lives or memories that they forgot in their own life, or sometimes it's actually just like a scene, or it's always divine, like it's always what the higher self wants that person to know, like what you could say their subconscious wants them to know, because we take like a lot of work to make sure that that person is like in a very clear space, making sure like nothing that isn't for their greatest and highest good is going to infringe upon them. We're very informed about um sometimes it's not like in some hypnosis, if you don't take certain precautions, it might not actually be like their higher self that's coming through. So we always like we do what we need to do to make sure that it is truly their higher self. And you can just, after you do this so long, you can just feel it.
All right. I got a lot of questions here.
Yeah,
Hmm.
that's beautiful.
Um, okay, awesome. Okay, so hypnosis, this is the hypnosis. You put people under hypnosis in order to basically make that happen, like to allow them to connect with their higher self, right?
Yeah, that's the aura hypnosis. The
So when
Reiki,
I'm
the raw
thinking
Reiki is no
hypnosis,
hypnosis.
I'm thinking like, I guess like what I've seen on TV or whatever, which is just like, you have like this pendulum or whatever. That's like what people usually think of. And then it's not like people are just like made to do like funny tasks, right? And the other
hmm
type of hypnosis I've heard is like I guess when people do like in therapy or whatever, when yeah, I guess they just make people focus on like their past or whatever. I'm really not that that familiar with it, but the little that I do know, like what you're telling me is like almost like a level higher. Would that be like a fair assessment? Like when people come to you or when people ask about like I guess when people ask about the hypnosis, like is that a suggestion that you tell them or are they coming to you looking for that? You know what I mean? Like when you're trying to heal somebody.
Generally, with my, spiritual community platform that I have, it's usually people that are coming to me looking for it, you know. Um, yeah, it's the interesting thing about hypnosis, like I do like to demystify it, is that, and it is something that, people should be skeptic about in a way, like I think it's like it is, I always encourage that because, you really want to trust, your practitioner and make sure that they really care about you. But yeah, it's more like, it's the big key about hypnosis is you're just talking people into theta brainwave, which is like a slower brainwave. It's like a more trance brainwave. So it's actually really easy to go in and out of that state. It's like even like you could even say like driving or watching TV, you're like in a state of hypnosis. So this is like a matter of it's almost like a meditation, and everyone's different. So some people will be like really conscious during the hypnosis, like that's kind of how I am. Like I'll still be really conscious, like I'll still be really here, but I'll just kind of be like really tuned in. And so you have the whole spectrum, and then you have some people that it's like they're asleep, they don't even remember anything, like they just like really like in hypnosis. So it's interesting. So it's really just about connecting to the theta brainwave and surrendering, because information will just come to you, like answers will just come to you when you're in this flow state, you'll just know.
I see. I feel like I've been able to do that with meditation, but like I guess having another person like with hypnosis or like trying to do that to somebody else, that's like above my pay grade, I guess. So that's that's very interesting, really interesting. Um, is there any way like on your channel, I've seen like you have videos where you kind of just talk about it. Are there any ones I should look up for hypnosis if I want to learn more?
hmm I don't think I've made any videos about that really yet, to just focusing on that I can think of, but it is
How did you
something
learn
that
about it? Like, how
um
did you learn to do this? Did
I
somebody
have a
teach you
teacher.
or? Mm,
Yeah. So So I've been doing this kind of stuff for years now, probably since like 2018. But this specific um like lineage I've learned from, her name is Rising Phoenix Aurora, and she has a YouTube channel, and she is an amazing teacher, and she does like certifications for the specific line of hypnosis and Reiki. She teaches it. So
Vacations, did you say?
certifications.
Certifications?
Yeah, like certifications, like you get certified in a specific line
Like, here's your piece of
once you
paper.
learn.
Congratulations, you're now qualified.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
see. Okay,
Because it's
cool.
a whole program. It's like it's really in depth because that's the difference between like this line of hypnosis like is very um and I would say it's very pure. Like it's very, very much like it's spiritual, like it recognizes like the spiritual principles of things. It's not just like a clinical hypnosis, but it's like it just takes into account a lot of spiritual knowledge. So that's why I like it, why I feel so safe doing it with people.
Hmm. Cool, cool. All right. So then there's the hypnosis, the Reiki, and then the Akashic reading. What are those two things about?
So the Reiki is like I was saying before, that's just again like energy healing on
Hmm,
your energy body. And
gotcha.
again, like that's like me tapping into really like the person's higher self, which might sound crazy, but so I just want to make it clear, like I am just being a vessel, once more, and it's just learning how to be a vessel. And same for the Akashic reading, that's not a healing, that's not tapping into the energy body. That's more just um like being like tapping into like being clairvoyant and reading a person's energy field. So it depends on what they come with, what their intentions are. Usually people have certain intentions or questions that they want answered, or sometimes like just messages will come up from their higher self or from people have like guides, like spirit guides around them that will sometimes uh share messages for their greatest and highest good. And also going into the Akashic records, the Akashic records is, have you ever heard of that?
Oh, who?
Of the Akashic records?
I have, yes.
Yeah, so it's going into the Akashic records, which is the records of all life, like everything that's ever happened, your lives, your past lives. Usually it's like your soul history, everything is like been recorded. It's like the universal memory.
So you basically like look into the book and then how do you like what do people like how do you use it? Like you just kind of like what are you trying to like is there a purpose usually when you go looking?
Yeah, it's always based on what the person wants. So usually again, they'll have like a question or intentions. And if they don't, if they just are open to usually, or they'll just be open to whatever wants to be expressed, and it'll just arise. Like it'll just like there is a process um I go through to like access them, but it will just arise. Like the messages will just arise. People, for example, like it's a matter of really honing in on what you call your imagination, because our imagination truly is a gateway. That's what people call our third eye. And we're so taught that like our imagination is just all made up and not real, but our imagination is how we can access higher information. It's how our higher self communicates to us, even through dreams or symbols or things that don't always make sense. It is a matter of learning how to develop that muscle though, and really like discern and hone in on what these things are and what they mean. It takes
Mhm.
practice.
Yeah, like what you said when like the Western concept of imagination, it's like to be dismissed, I guess. And I feel like
Hmm.
that's like modern culture is like that. Like if a lot of times people like they're not very good at dealing with like stress or certain like weird emotions. Like let's say they start feeling like nervous or whatever because there's some reason in their head. Like there's a they're like they're having family issues, whatever, like a normal reason why you'd be anxious. Instead of like being like, okay, why do I feel anxious? I feel like a lot of people are just try and ignore it. And I think it's like that with dreams and all that kind of thing. Like a lot of time people are like, it's almost like conventional wisdom tells people to like ignore it when, like you said, you should kind of like flex the muscle. Like maybe if you just kind of went into it a little more, dived in deeper, then maybe that's you'd gain a lot of knowledge or something. I don't know. That's I guess that's kind of what I felt when I kind of like started um, maturing. I guess is I was like, okay, wait, hold on, let me like actually like why do I feel this way? And like let me like think about it for a second and analyze it. And you know, I feel like that's when you kind of hit a new, you kind of like go past the next plateau. You kind of like break through when you actually kind of like take time to delve into it. I studied psychology actually in school. I was like really interested about people and stuff. And the thing with psychology is that part of it is understanding humans, and then the other part is like trying to like help people get through their problems. So it's interesting because I haven't really talked to too many spiritual healers, and I've kind of come at this from like it's like psychology almost tries to like logic your way into like fixing yourself. Like you try and like it's like a conversation you have in your brain, but if you only attack like you need people need that. Like people need to logically think about things, but that's only one aspect. Like there's other, like spirituality is something that is neglected, it seems. Like people have taken in America, it seems like people have been like, we're going to separate church and state. And they've just completely thrown out church, right? Like they've thrown it out, with everything. So then there's just this neglect, it seems, of spirituality in people. I don't know. At least that's what I've seen in like. At least that's what I've seen living in the city, in big cities in America. So I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't know. Do you know many people that are in psychology, or people like when people come to you, have they talked about therapy they've had in the past before, or any experiences with that?
Yeah, well, I totally agree. I feel like that's very wise and like very intuitive of you to share. That's definitely something that I see, and I feel like it's that off balance that, causes a lot of strife. People don't know how to really deal with these things, and we are so logical, which is important, but sometimes you can just loop and loop and loop. And with psychology, actually, that was partly of what really assisted me in my journey was Carl Jung. He's a big one for me, learning because he studied a
Jung,
lot of
Carl
he's
Jung.
yeah.
Uh-huh. That's it seems like I think a lot of people. I think it was Florian or Keith actually mentioned Carl Jung yesterday. So interesting.
Yeah, it
Why?
was
Sorry,
funny
sorry
how
to cut you off.
oh no, it's okay. Well, it's funny because that's actually one of my first like spirit kind of like spiritual experiences I actually had was that I remember was meditating when I first started meditating, many years ago. And I was trying to open myself up to this, and I was starting to think about the subconscious. And so I was meditating, and this was the first time I did like a visual meditation. So I was visualizing I was on the beach, and it's so funny, but like this little being came up to me and I was so excited because I was like, like this is like crazy. And I was trying to ask it questions and it was just laughing at me, like playfully, like just like I think it was laughing because I was trying to be so serious. And it just said Carl Jung. I never, as far as I'm aware, I never heard of Carl Jung. I swear. It said Carl Jung, and then like my phone rang and it just like I couldn't connect back to that. And then I looked up Carl Jung, and that's when that whole thing started. And it was just like a whole string of weird divine things like that was happening to like awaken me. And it was like, so Carl Jung was a huge part in like opening my mind to, because sometimes it's hard to get out of that logical space. So like him being extremely smart and like intellectual, but also exploring these mysteries, that's really what it is like, I feel like people are kind of afraid of like the mysterious, and these
Mhm.
mysterious things that are kind of in a way like unexplainable. But
When
yeah,
I've
did
heard
that answer your
criticisms of
question?
Jung, like I don't agree with everything Jung says, but it
Mm-hmm.
seems like when my criticisms are slightly different. like, but a lot of the time when I've heard people like criticize Jung, it's because he brings in these like fantastical things, and there's like these archetypes. So that's like you can't really like prove that, but it's like what we're talking about. It's like because it's unprovable, people like dismiss it immediately. So yeah, I don't know, but in any case, in any case, um, I kind of wanted to talk about academic composition a little bit,
Mm-hmm.
and like the college experience, I suppose. Um, I think people nowadays mostly go to college because like it's almost like subconscious. Like that's what culture tells you. Like society tells you to go to college. Like when you finish high school, like you don't even take a step to think about it. You're like, we're going to college. Um, and I think, a lot of people have the dream where like, okay, we're going to go to college and then our life's going to improve, right? Once we get out the other side. And I guess my question is, why didn't you go to college? Like, do you feel nowadays that you like missed out? I have a friend who like, well, I'll get into that later, but why didn't you go to college? And how, how is your life now without having to go to college?
Yeah, so it's funny. I actually remember my first decision was in fifth grade. I don't know why, but I just looked at it and intuitively I was just like, I'm not going to college. And then like, my parents they were like they kind of just dismissed me because I was so young. But I actually had one of my friends' parents was like all triggered, like, you gotta go to college. If you don't go to college, you're never gonna do anything. Like you're gonna blah blah blah. And I'm like, I'm not going. Like that sounds
Society.
horrible. Yeah. Like this sounds horrible. Like I don't like school. I didn't like school. I didn't like very young age. And it wasn't because I don't like to learn. Like I would be reading books like on summer vacation, learning about all these amazing things. And then I'd be back in school and it'd be like I just felt like they were always teaching me the same stuff. I really love freedom. I really, really love my freedom. It's one of my biggest values in life. So anything that's going to restrict my freedom and try to tell me what I need to do, for me personally, it's just immediate turn off. So I don't know. So I kind of thought about it, as I got older, kind of kept it somewhat open. And more, I even took college classes in high school and it was just like, I seriously hate this. Like no part of my soul at all wants to do this. And I don't want to be in debt. Like that was another thing. I was like really aware
That's
that like I'm
huge.
not gonna, yeah. And I also got like a vocation. So in high school I learned how to cut hair and I got to do all that stuff. So it was just like, yeah, I just knew, and I didn't even know why I would go to college. Like there's nothing there. Like I had no call like to do anything. So for me, it was really obvious. It's just like I was so grateful, and I still am. I'm so grateful, to be honest. Like I don't regret
That's
it at
awesome.
all. Nothing about
Yeah.
it. Like I don't regret. Like I don't care about the culture. Like I don't care about the degree. There's nothing about it that like
And I
personally, I don't
remember,
know.
so with freedom, like I think that's the key also. Like I'm the same, right? That's why I'm living in Costa Rica, right? But I remember when I was in high school, I like the windows have bars on them, and then like you have to go through metal detectors sometimes. like if you cut class, like you that's not allowed, right? Like you can't not go to class. So if I felt like I was in prison, man, I'm like,
Mhm.
you know what I mean? Like this doesn't feel like school. This feels like I'm in jail. And so when I went to college, I ended up going to college, and man, it's weird. Like I don't know what my life would have been if I didn't go to college, right? But even to this day, I'm like, man, I don't know, like, should I have gone to college? But I think it did help me. It did help me. But what I liked most about going to college was that I didn't get penalized for cutting class. Like, just having freedom to choose, like, what classes I want to study, if I wanted to go to this class or not. That alone made college so much more enjoyable for me. But, like you said, your aunt, like, was there, like, the reasons why people go to college, right? Like, did your parents want you to go to college? Like, were they like was it your aunt you said was pressuring you? Like, did your parents care? Like, when you said that, hey, mom and dad, I'm not going to go to college, were they fine with it?
Yeah, I mean, my parents didn't go to college either. I don't really come from like an academic background by any means. Um, I could have, and like, I kind of just left it open, I was just honest and I said, I don't really feel like I want to do this. If I want to do this, I can go back and do it. I don't need to do it right now. And
Mm-hmm.
like, they were totally cool with that. So I didn't, the biggest pressure I received was just from school, from, the counselor, like, they act like going to college is like the only option. But it was interesting because as I was kind of like graduating at that phase where people were realizing like, hey, trades are really important and we don't have enough people like in these trades. So I think there was kind of a shift happening there. But yeah,
Were you in
I knew.
Michigan? like when this was happening?
I was actually in Ohio. Yeah, and also, like I said, I had my awakening when I was 15, awakening as far as waking up to like my spiritual, like my inner spiritual world, as well as waking up to the fact that a lot of the things in the world aren't what they seem, so I really, really question everything, including authority. I'm very skeptical of these things, and I don't let people tell me what to do, basically. Or like I don't like, I don't find that legit. So for me, it was actually pretty easy.
So I guess freedom is usually why, like, because people think that they'll make more money, right? I think that's why people mainly go to get college degrees nowadays. Do you feel like, like, how do you, I mean, I suppose you're making money at some, like in some way, how did you deal with that question of like, oh, I got to make some money?
Hmm. Well, like I said in the like even for me, like freedom is such an important, like maybe I'm just crazy, but freedom is actually more important to me than like obviously I want to make sure I'm good, but like it's more important than making a lot of money. I'm not a super materialistic person. So I knew like it's not that hard to, in my opinion, it's not that hard to make money. There's lots of options. And as I said, I was cutting hair, doing cosmetology. So like for me, that was fine. And, then I started getting into my own business and doing my own thing. Like for me, I was ready to do whatever I had to do. Like I'm someone who's like, I'm gonna do it my way. So it's like, even if it's harder, even if it takes longer, even if, I just have like a lot of faith that it's always gonna work out because it always does. And so I haven't really had any problems like that, and there's been times where when I was first graduated that I struggled with money, but in a way it was like kind of fun. I didn't really like it, just was kind of like an adventure to me. It was like, how am I going to figure this out? I didn't really, especially when you're young, I feel like you kind of get to have that attitude about things, but I knew I would figure it out. I knew like um, I would find a way. So I don't think
Nice.
I've had to worry about that too much. Like I doubt it's like I probably maybe I don't make as much as some college people who went to college, but at the same time for me, like not being in that debt is like really, really important.
It all evens out, because like let's say you make a higher salary, but then you're just paying out way more money in the debt. It all, you may at the end of the day, you're keeping in your pocket the same money or less than maybe somebody who didn't go to college, would keep. But
And
there's a large group, like a lot of some of our clients, um, some of our clients are like people from DC who are like government contractors, right? So they're making a lot of money. They've been in their positions for a while, and they're basically trying to compete with their their peers because if you get more like a higher degree, then the government will just they're just looking at it's like a box ticked, right? It's like okay, this person will pay them more money, and it's like a cycle. People just keep getting more degrees, right? And then the government pays for them to get a degree, so they don't even care, right? But I mean they care, but it's like they're not necessarily there to like learn something. They're just there to survive, in a way. Like in their environment, they're trying to get ahead. But the only issue though is that there's so much it's such a time commitment that that they're missing time, like the amount of time that they put into the work, they could be doing something else. They could be hanging out with the family or just like a lot of these people are working full-time jobs already. So, they don't have very much free time. So then that free time, they're not really trying to go study, like, and like some certain things, like if you're a nurse or you're like a doctor, there's certain things that you have to learn, obviously, for your profession. But there's a lot of like side classes, like gender studies or whatever that, that you don't necessarily need, but the school's forcing you to take, which is where academic composition comes in. So, we basically have a lot of people that are like in this mode of being stuck, right? And they just need somebody to like help them out and free up some time for them. So where your clients, like people that come to you for healing, what are they generally, is there like a certain profile? Like, is there something that you've seen kind of like, is there a common theme that people come to you for? Or like maybe, I don't know, what are you seeing in your clients that come to you for healing, basically? Is there an overlap?
Yeah, it's very diverse, I will say, but I think the biggest overlap is um just trying to know themselves more, trying to learn more about themselves, trying to like you could say heal, which is, the process of transmuting the pain that we all have for whatever reason, whether it's trauma or stress or anxiety, kind of like we talked about earlier, like facing that stuff and, becoming a better person. I feel like that's like the biggest overlying goal from all different walks of life. Being more free, being having more power in your life and your reality, because that's something you realize, in your spiritual journey is that
How do you
reality is
become
not
more
what it
free?
seems.
How do you become more free?
Yeah, so I truly think that like our spirits, like we are born free. We have this love for freedom. That's what is like one of the highest expressions of joy. But as we often as children, as we get into the world, we get, whether it's through trauma or through programming, we get conditioned into all kinds of beliefs that maybe aren't actually for our greatest and highest good, like we're talking about, you have to do this, you have to do that.
The
um,
school guidance counselor, like forcing you to go to school, right?
Yeah, like even that, like, we get forced to do and coerced to do all these things, like, that we don't want to do, and we just learn, and that has to do with like this whole thing I feel like we're talking about, like this rat race, that was really the essence for me, was like I don't, like I'm willing to do whatever I need to do to not be like just a part of this. For me personally, it was like I don't find much meaning in that. Like I find meaning in like, these kinds of things of um, so it's like it's so really like coming into freedom. It's like in a way, it's you already have it, but it's like pulling off these layers of like walls that we build up for ourselves, whether it's consciously or unconsciously. And as you were saying, is I was going to talk about that too with time. For me, that was another thing is like time. Like, you can always get more money, but you can't always get more time. Like time truly is one of the most valuable things that we have. And if you don't have time to, you know, even do things in your life, go to school, have a family, go to work, and all take care of your house and all of these things, and have time for yourself, have time to like process what you're even going through. Like that's just, that's not healthy.
Yeah, it's like you're just in survival mode. Yeah.
Exactly, exactly. And that's the opposite of freedom. That's you're literally automatic. You're like an automaton. You're just going through the motions. And that's for me, that was part of my awakening. At even 15, I was like, I'm doing this. I'm on automatic. I'm not even here. I'm like, what is going on? Like I don't want to just exist. Like I want to live.
Well, okay, so this sounds like exactly the same situation that a lot of our clients are in. One of our clients, another demographic is like nurses. There's a lot of nurses that like in New York State, for example, they just said years ago, they're like, all right, within the next 10 years, I think, all nurses have to have bachelor's degrees. Even if you work as a nurse now and you didn't have a bachelor degree before, you now have to like get one in the next few years in order to keep working as a nurse. So like, if you're like a nurse, you're like a single mom or whatever, you know, aside from hiring academic composition to help you get some free time, what do you tell somebody like that? Like, how did you escape? Because like you said, you had the awakening at 15 and you were like an automaton. You were just like, I don't have any free choices. People are making me do stuff. How did you escape?
Mhm.
How did you get, break the chains?
Yeah, that's a really, really, really good question. I feel like it's baby steps, especially, like again, I feel like in a way I was probably lucky to have it early, whereas I think sometimes like, and I don't say this just to discourage, just to be honest, if you're older and you already find yourself so wrapped up in these systems, it can seem even harder because like that burden is so heavy and you feel like you're so in it. But as soon as you have this awareness, literally anything is possible. Truly anything is possible. And I would say, like, just start with what you can. Just start with baby steps, because it's weird. As soon as you start to open yourself up to this awareness, it's like if you have this like kind of like guidance that comes in. It's your intuition. That's really what it is. It's developing. Everybody has an intuition. It's like, starting to um like be mindful of the choices you're making. It's like, is this really going to serve me, or is this, you know and I'm not going to say it's easy, but it's worth it. It's so worth it, because you really can do it. You really, really can. There's so many different ways to go about it, but you got to follow your intuition.
Trust your instincts.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting. Okay, so a way that I think a good way that people learn is by hearing somebody else's story. So, like, how did you? What was your spiritual awakening like? Like, how did that happen at 15? That's a young age, also. Like, that seems uncommon, right? How did you do
Yeah.
it? What happened?
Well, this is very interesting. It's fun for me to share. Um, Really, what happened, what the first spark of it was, is I was looking on YouTube. I think we all can relate to, like, I've always had this feeling of just like something's off. Like, I don't know, like we deep down, it's like we all have this feeling of like there's something else going on here, like deep down. And especially as children, like children have so much wisdom. Like, sometimes, and I'm kind of joking, but I'm kind of not. It's like we indoctrinate our children, but I think our children should be indoctrinating us, because they have a lot of like natural wisdom that like we just beat out of them and try to force them into like our insane society. But it actually started with music. Like, I'm a musician, so I love music. I've always loved music. And what happened was I was looking at um the music of this time, and it was like 2011, 2012. It was just so strange to me. It was just so shallow and so superficial. And not only that, but to get into like the real deep stuff of like I just noted, like, I don't know, it's like my spirit was just there. Like, I noticed like all this weird occultist stuff. So, not to
At
get like into
15?
weird,
At
yeah,
15?
like,
Damn.
yeah, like not to get into like weird conspiracy stuff, but I was watching this documentary on YouTube, and for some reason, this is just what like activated me. I just, because like I think, everyone has a unique journey, but for me, like I was just meant to wake up at a young age because of what I do. But everybody, has their own unique story and timing. But just seeing like all these like satanic things that these celebrities are doing. I don't know why, but I just recognized it, and I just seen it, and like I just understood, like they're doing rituals, they're flashing symbols, they're
Man, it's
like
weird. It's like I've started noticing all this stuff too, and like it's sort of the type of situation where like you know what to look for, then it's like obvious. But like
mm-hmm.
if you don't, if you're like unaware, then you miss it all. But then once you like realize like what the signs are, and then you actually like, wait, what? It's like freaking insane. You're just like, what is going on with these people? Man,
Yeah.
actually, this reminds me, like last year there was this Travis Scott concert. Oh my God, man. I don't know if you heard about that. But that's when I think like it was just like in my face. I was like, are you serious right now? I don't know. Anyway,
Yeah.
I guess
Yeah,
at
exactly.
15, who knows what was going on around that time? Like, was it rock music? Was it gangster rap? What was going on then?
Well, like, I don't know. I like rock music, and I like a lot of old music, but like I was seeing like the popular music at the time. So I don't know. It was like um trying to think of examples like Rihanna, and I don't know. It doesn't even matter. Like, just like these really popular artists in like 2009, 2010. But like the thing is like, I don't know, maybe I was just like an innocent kid, but I was like all these, like I would watch like my peers, like, and I was like, I was always, again, like kind of weird and different, I feel like, but like people, you know, kids listening to this music that's all about like just like really raunchy stuff, violence and sex and drugs, and like it's shallow, like it's just so meaningless. You know what I mean? It's just like, for me, it was like, what even is this? Like, it's just, I don't know. It just, for me, it
Well,
activated
okay,
something in
did
me.
you like so you had your spiritual awakening just realizing that like Britney Spears was twerking too hard? Like, you know what I mean? Like, what was it? Just that? Or was it like some other thing?
Well,
Like, you
it was the
just really.
symbols.
Sorry, go
Sorry,
ahead.
I didn't mean to cut you off. Okay.
No, go ahead.
Like music, like I watched this documentary and they were showing like music videos where like these celebrities would like they would just like flash Baphomet, like really weird shit. Like back then, like it was really like blatant because nobody was paying attention at all. So like they would just and they do that. There's a reason they do that. We talked about this before. One, because it gets in your subconscious, the symbols do, and it's also their way of telling you what they're doing. But if you don't understand, because that's how psychopaths are, they tell you what they're doing, and if you don't understand, then it's like, well, then you deserve to be manipulated, like.
Yeah, sheesh. Wild.
So that
Okay.
was like the beginning, but then I started opening up to, so it was kind of rough, because when that happened, I was like, oh my God, if this is going on in the music industry, I can't imagine what's going on in like the
The red
government and
pill, the
like,
red pill.
yeah, exactly.
Oh man, the rage. Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, it's like, yeah, it's like the extent of it. You're like, it's tough to like comprehend. It's like you almost feel
Yeah.
like the conspiracy theorist, like everybody's talking about conspiracy theories. You're like, am I the conspiracy theorist? And then, yeah, I've been there. I've been there. It's all good.
Especially back then, it was like, again, like I'm young and I'm like trying to have like a normal life, but like, yeah, this is again where I think I got some thick skin with like people's opinions because it's like my friends would so like ridicule me so hard for like talking about this kind of stuff and trying to share this kind of
Really?
stuff like so bad. Yeah. But then years later,
No.
the same people like come to me and ask me questions because they realize that like, it's true, so
Wow.
um
Full
yeah, it
circle.
wasn't easy. That was the first thing though, like that it was not, I'm not, because I feel like we all have that initial shock where it's like this, like we've been lied to, it's like we've been lied to about a lot of
Right.
things, like it's not what it seems like you got to have like that discernment of like, do these institutions and do these things, like not to be paranoid, but do they really have pure intentions? Is this really for my greatest and highest good?
Well, all right, real quick. So stage one is to watch documentaries to break your mind free on YouTube, right? So drop me some names real quick. What should people be like looking at?
Oh my goodness.
Just like three names
So
real quick, just so
I
people
don't
can
know.
study at home. And
The only
then yeah.
the one
Well,
I can
what
think
is
of
your
is,
channel, first of all, obviously, right? Where should people be looking?
yeah,
What is the
transforming
name?
the
If people want to
darkness.
find you on TikTok, where are you on right now? You're on YouTube, TikTok, you have Twitter. Like, where can people find you, first of all?
Yeah, so YouTube is my biggest one. That's where my main platform is. And I just made a TikTok and I do have Instagram. I'm not huge on Instagram. So really YouTube. And then on YouTube you can find my website, which is like, my blog and my services and like, a lot of like the heart of my work over the past few years. But
All right,
so yeah,
website is
that's
called,
mine.
what is the URL of the website?
Transformingthedarkness.com.
Okay. What is your, if I transform the darkness on YouTube also, right? You'll pop up.
Yeah,
TikTok, what do I look for on TikTok?
transforming the darkness.
Okay, great.
So
Um,
across the board, that's
okay. So stage one is connect with people on YouTube and learn about stuff. What about two? Number two, what is the second stage of, breaking free?
yeah. And also just to clarify too, like for one, like watching documentaries is really helpful and like it gets a little bit harder sometimes to find this stuff nowadays because where we find ourselves and like censoring and stuff like that. And also just even with this stuff you got to use discernment because there's so many crazy people that you just got to really follow your intuition again. But just
That's
starting
why I
to
need these
question
names. I
things
need
in
these
your life.
recommendations from you. Guide
Yeah,
people
I
on the
can
right
give you
path here.
one. I can give you one that I'm aware of because the documentary that I'm talking about was like scrubbed from YouTube a long, long time ago. But
Sheesh. Okay.
but
Damn.
Truth Stream Media, that's a good one. That's one that I can in my heart fully recommend. Um,
Okay.
it's probably the only one
Um,
that I can think of off the top of my head that I can really trust.
True String Media.
Truth Stream Media on YouTube.
Okay. True String Media. Okay, cool. Um, Beware of shysters on the internet. Um, what is next step?
Yeah, and the next step would be, in a way, like just to, I guess, like within yourself, starting to sort this all out. So, and it kind of something funny, like I feel like it's actually, maybe in a way it is actually easier nowadays, because when this happened for me, I was so alone. Like there was really no one. Like now you have like so many people that are into this stuff. Like it was so empty, like it was so freaky, and I legit thought that like I felt like we were gonna be put in like concentration camps or something. Like I was like
Yo,
going crazy.
yo, I know what you mean though. I know what you mean. I
Like
felt
and
like
I
that.
really want
I'm a
to.
surfer, right? And I literally live in Costa Rica because like there's a really good wave here. It's like one of the best waves in the world. So like I'm like full committed, right? So I was trying to tell people like in when I was 15 also, I'm like, yo, I'm trying to surf. People look at me like I'm nuts, especially in New York, you know? So I kind of empathize.
Yeah. It's so funny to look back upon. But so, I think there's just that's the thing about the truth, is like sometimes like the truth will set you free, but sometimes it is uncomfortable because you have to accept, like, if you've been living in a lie. Not saying that's the case for everyone, but like that's, I'm not gonna lie and say like that's the easiest thing. Like, but once you know that, it makes it easier. I feel like truly knowing is half the battle. So just knowing like it's okay, you're not alone. Like and we all like, we're all born into, this system, this story, this confusion. So then the next step would, I think, to be again starting to just cultivate, starting to know yourself more, because that's what this like society, like it kind of wants you to always be distracted. It wants you to be like an automaton. It wants you to just be constantly focused on, the drama and like the fear, and like it actually is completely like dependent on your fear. So the biggest thing is starting to like unpack that, and starting to know yourself. What are you afraid of? Like learn how to deal with your emotions, like learn how to deal, and like you were saying with the psychology, like a lot of the biggest pain, the biggest reason people suffer so much is because of the mind, because of the thoughts, because of the negative thinking and the beliefs. Emotions, once you understand emotions, that's easy, because emotions is something that, and I'm not saying it's comfortable, because you have to feel your emotions. We're taught to like suppress our emotions and to never feel them, to always evade them. But like that just like that, you try to just suppress your anxiety, it's not going to go away. It's just going to get like buried deeper. But like when you learn, and this is stuff I really talk about, I don't really talk about like, this conspiracy stuff on my channel. I'm more focused on like this spiritual stuff, because to me that's the solution. For me, that's what I can offer to actually help people, is to learn how to process these emotions and allow them to come through you. And then they will literally like, it's so freeing, because like people have all this fear that's so unprocessed, and like it just manifests in their lives. You have to learn how to really feel it.
It's true, yeah. I mean, like people get ulcers because of the stress. They just, like it
Mm-hmm.
manifests physically, like a hole in their stomach. But
Mm-hmm.
okay, so so I'm like, step two is I still don't know what step two is.
Right. Right.
You gave me like
Well,
step
it's
through to 2 to 10 in like in that speech here.
I'm sorry. Okay, so again, like step one is just starting to have this awareness, and
Become
every,
self-aware.
yeah.
Okay.
Yes, and start, I guess the next step would be to start being mindful, start being, it's like you're actually awakening, and like that just simply means like you're actually, you're coming out of that like automatic, fear-based survival. So it's like, and everybody, I feel like everybody's process is going to be unique to them, but I would say generally it's like, again, it's like starting to observe, I guess, like beginning to observe, like from a higher level, like beginning to just observe yourself. It's like,
Yes.
why am I doing the things that I'm doing? And like, is it really helping me? Because again, if you've been in doing this for a while, it's like I don't want you to feel overwhelmed, because it's like it's very possible. It's like you just got to take it one step at a time.
Right.
So be
Yeah, like
observe yourself.
I've definitely been at a place where like you're just so busy that you don't even know, and you're just doing it. You're like super, super busy for such an extended period of time that you're just like going from one thing to the next, and you're not even like you just developed a pattern basically, and you don't even know what you're doing. So what you're saying, like become self-aware, is like, wait, what am I actually, what is going on? Like every day I'm waking up, what am I doing? And then once you become aware of yourself, then you're like, wait, what is going on outside, right? Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Then you're like, wait, what is going on with me? And then what is going on with everybody else? Yeah, I hear that. I hear that. Okay, cool. All right, I think that's some pretty good steps. I think that'll like actually like becoming self-aware is a key one.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's what you do when you go to therapy, I guess, is basically you're like, wait, you have to like analyze yourself and what your behavior. You kind of have to like, wait, what are you doing? And why?
Yeah.
But okay. Well, we're coming up on an hour, so yeah, I think that's a pretty good first session. Um, all the nurses are just like glued to the screen, like yes. But okay, so I guess the key here is um, just try and get some information, become self-aware, become observant of the world around you. If you need contact, contact Reagan. If you need like, if you feel like you're like spiritually, you need some information, and then contact us if you need some help, freeing up your free time, so that you can pursue your hobbies and maybe contact you. So, any last, do you think any of your viewers would have any questions for us? Like we have, like Florian is a PhD. You met him yesterday. Keith has 4 degrees. Like he basically has a PhD. Um, we have a few PhDs on the team. Like we have a lot of people that are really, really well schooled in academics. So if your viewers have any questions about college, or feel free to either ask, if anything comes up now, you can ask me now, or maybe next time, feel free to if you have any questions for us, ask us. We're here to help.
Yeah, I definitely will do that. I think that it's a beautiful alliance. Like it seems like an unlikely alliance, and that's what makes it so perfect, for helping people, from these different backgrounds. I feel like it's really there's something really beautiful here. And another thing, you mentioned the nurses is like, as a nurse, like, in a way, like I would say you're a healer, you're a caregiver, you're someone
You're
who
keeping
is,
people alive, literally.
called
Like you're like
towards.
watching the ECG
Yeah.
machine.
Yeah, yeah. So that's really, really beautiful. And, in a way, like, remember to, like, learn to have that attitude for yourself as well, and take care of yourself and, like, look out because so many people, like, will help others so much, but it's so, so important to have that love for yourself and really take care of yourself. Because the more you do that, the more you can show up in the world and, like, help people, when you feel taken care of and free.
I feel like
And it's
that's a
possible.
big one. Yeah. Like a lot of time people are like they just want to help others, and then they just end up exhausted because there's no time for themselves. Like their house is a mess. Like
Mm-hmm.
that's something that I deal with sometimes too. Is like I just want to hang out with people, or like see my friends, or people ask me for stuff. So like it's rare that I get a day just to like be in my house, kind of like relax, meditative and stuff. Because I guess that's the thing. Like when you start meditating and you start like realizing, trying to get higher level in spirituality, like you need peace and quiet. Like you need to be by yourself. So finding that
Mm-hmm.
time is hard. It's hard. A lot of people, they're just with other people all the time.
Yeah, exactly. That's, maybe one last tip too is exactly, it's like, and I know that it can be so hard for people who are really busy, but like finding that time for solitude and silence, even if it's just a little bit, like even if it's just 5 minutes a day, if that's like again, baby steps, like do what you can because when you're in that silence, you have that time to process, those things that, are going on. And the more you can process, the more you can start to like become more self-aware. So, that's why it's so beautiful what you guys do for people, like saving people all that worry and stress and time. like especially again for things that maybe it's not even meaningful for people to do. Like for me, that's like an insult to my soul, it's like I don't want to have to do this. Like that just thinking about that like stresses me out. So I think it's so beautiful, like giving people that most like beautiful resource, which is time to, time for them to hopefully have more time for themselves.
Yeah, it's definitely it's there's so many things like what you said earlier about like learning and stuff. Like if you're worried about your grade, like your GPA or whatever, like that can cause you to like not enjoy the class as much. But when you hire us, you basically have like a PhD, like you can contact us whenever. We're like consultants, like if you need to contact Florian, you can get in contact with him. He's a geneticist. So you can enjoy the class. You have somebody looking over your shoulder helping you, and you can actually enjoy the class and try and learn something without the pressure of having the grade at the end of it. So, you might
Yeah.
still have to take a test, but you have like somebody looking over your shoulder helping you go through college. I mean, that's like a huge advantage. So yeah,
And
we're
that
just
is
trying to
like
help people. At the end of the day, we're all just trying to help people, make their lives a little easier. So
And the
cool.
truest thing too about like education is like I feel like you really learn when you actually feel that freedom, when you feel that curiosity, when you feel that passion. But when you feel that restriction and that fear, then it's like it becomes
Yeah.
more just about passing. So it's like
Yeah.
overall,
And
it's
that
just such a
pressure. Yeah.
benefit. Hmm.
Totally. 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 Cool. It was super nice talking to you. Stoked. Um, I'll pull some clips, send them over. And yeah, once we do the clips, maybe we can do another one.
Yeah, sounds good. This is really fun. Thank you so much, Kevin.
Awesome. I mean, I definitely have a whole lot of questions. So I'm curious to talk to you more. I've got a lot of stuff to ask. So, because yeah, I mean, just finding people to talk about with things is key. Just finding someone else who doesn't look at you like what, or like
Hmm.
a lot of people are just so like people are not awake. I guess a lot of people are still kind of sleeping, so you can't even have a conversation with them if you wanted to. So
Hmm.
yeah, cool. It was a pleasure, and I'll talk to you soon. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much. Have a beautiful rest of your day.
You too.